What a great giggle that was. Heh Budapest canonically has a gremlin gaggle now. Shut up. Greetings, nerds! I'm Glitch.
And I'm Cakey.
And today we're back with Palinurus. It's been a hot minute.
It's been like November.
It's been several months, yes.
Yes, it has. I can't even remember what happened.
No.
And so like that, some time passed, with Budapest and I becoming accustomed to spending our days drifting slowly through space.
Alright, our
very loud.
spaceship got, wrecked.
Yeah.
And now we're just drifting aimlessly through space, hoping we'll, pass close enough to a space station for them to see us.
Yeah. It took a while to get used to, but eventually, aided by the tranquility of space and its ocean of stars, we were able to find a small measure of peace. The jettisoning of the cockpit was a stressful time for both of us, between the screaming, the close scrape with untimely death, made for some awkward first impressions. So, for much of the time, I just felt tired. I was sleeping, having nodded off in the co-pilot's chair, when...
The time is now 1200 hours.
I stirred in my seat. At least I knew what time it was. Budapest must have been programmed to make periodic announcements such as these.
Oh, Mr. Passenger, sir.
That was a lot of titles. Yeah, I'm up, what? I did a real job of contorting myself in my seat. Unnodding my pretzel legs, I peeled myself from my seat. Extending my arms towards the ceiling, I stretched to get all of the kinks out of my bag. Drowsily, I looked ahead at the stars drifting out in the cosmos across a black expanse. You didn't wake me up just to stargaze, did you? There were enough of those out there to last us the whole trip.
No, it's just... Well, you were snoring. I wanted to check up on you.
What kind of cause and effect relationship is that? Also, I don't snore.
I beg to differ, sir. I was just concerned because, well, perhaps you have allergies or...
I don't have any allergies. Also, while we're on the matter, I don't snore. What?
1 second.
Budapest,
face.
Budapest turned to her display to... What was she bringing up? What? This wasn't me. This was the sound of some sort of suffocating animal superimposed on grainy footage of me sleeping. When did she even capture it anyway? Anyway, how did she capture it? Why did she capture it? I spun in my seat towards one of Budapest's cameras, glaring right into it. She giggled at the expression of anger on my face.
See, we should get you on a more regular sleep cycle. It's bad for your heart and could lead to hypertension.
Yeah, 'cause I'm tense enough as it is. I sighed, getting settled into my chair. You always give your passengers this much trouble? Not anyone can get in 9 square hours of sleep at night.
Haha, well, not really. Given the circumstances, though, you could bear to make an exception, for once. It's not like you have much of an excuse not to, right?
She had a point. Still, I wasn't ready to concede. Not yet. Well, you're an artificial intelligence, right? Can't you just, turn off your audio receptors or something? Don't think it'd bother you then.
I could.
Kind of creepy to record all that in any case, not gonna lie. I thought you said you didn't watch me sleep.
I don't. Not at all. It's for security. Security reasons. I can't change that. It'd be a breach of protocol.
She was insistent on the point. I didn't know artificial intelligences could blush. She was getting so embarrassingly squirmy, so visibly flustered. I laughed in her face. Alright, fine, I get it. I'll try to get some more sleep. That seemed to satisfy her. A small, warm smile crept across her face. So what have you been up to, then? I'd hoped you'd been doing more than watching me sleep.
Very funny. Actually... Well, I've been coming through our database registries. It's funny, they've always been here, but I hadn't really ever engaged with them in the past.
Databases?
Yes, they're standard in all our outgoing Titan transportation systems. Trillions of archival documents stored electronically inside the holographic layers of each vessel. The database is intended for the purposes of extraterrestrial ambassadorship. It's a compilation of digitally preserved artifacts dating back to the times of old Earth.
They go that far back, do they? Sorry, I still have a cold or allergies or something. Hard to believe that every dingy little spaceship like this one carries the full extent of humanity's cultural footprint. It's a wonder they managed to fit it all in.
It's a little romantic, don't you think?
Right? Like candlelit dinner romantic?
No, nothing like that. Like, idyllic.
I don't quite follow. It's incredible they fit so much together and all, but...
It's like, well, you know, when mankind first landed on the moon, orbiting old Earth.
Of course, it's a galactic civil holiday. Built a museum over their footprints. It's a hard thing to not learn about. She nodded.
Of course, and the lunar plaque that's preserved there, too. Here, men from Earth first set foot upon the moon, July 1969 AD. We came in peace for all mankind. It was a message for visitors from abroad. Even when man first broke through the skies to the stars, they looked beyond the veil to find others like them.
Budapest placed a hand on the console, silently, delicately patting it. She looked down and examined her pale, dainty fingers as she spoke on.
And even today, we carry their dreams with us, along with their memories. They dream of meeting travelers like us, just from a different walk of the world. I think that's really incredible. That's the sort of romantic I was talking about.
The dreamy look in her eyes was dissonant. She stared out of the front of the cockpit. How long had she been staring out into the stars like that? It didn't help that I was buying into her wistful prose a little myself. It was whimsical and saccharine? I don't know. But I couldn't think of a better reason a public transit fleet for God.
But I couldn't think of a better reason a public transit fleet for commuters would be outfitted with all known human knowledge.
I'd opened my mouth to respond and try to shoot her down, but I honestly couldn't. I didn't have a better idea, and, well, I'd not been able to live with myself. Kind of lousy to trample on the imagination of a naive, innocent girl, artificial intelligence or otherwise. I turned my gaze to the stars out in front of me, opting to change the subject. I don't suppose you've met any strange, distant travelers yourself, flying about in outer space.
Who, other than you?
Budapest giggled warmly. I rolled my eyes a little.
Sadly, no, but there are maybe 50 million spacefaring vehicles from Titan Transport alone currently making their rounds across map space. If any travelers encountered one of us, I'm sure they'd be well met with a generous gift.
I wouldn't terribly mind if one of those millions swung by to pick us up, too. That was a sadder, smaller laugh than I would have liked to hear. So we've the sum of all human knowledge at our fingertips. What do we do with it? She had a starry look in her eyes. Have you ever taken a look at them yourself before this? The databases.
No, actually. Reading through them was never part of my duties. That suited me fine. There was always enough for me to do to ensure a safe and pleasant voyage.
Straight-laced answer, as expected. What wasn't expected, though, was the way her eyes focused hungrily, lustfully at the console.
But now that you mention it, I'm awful curious to have a peek inside. Aren't you?
We've got a month to kill. No objections here, I suppose.
Oh, come on, smile a little. This could be fun. Aren't you excited?
I guess I could be a little more excited to take a gander at the dusty old records of a bunch of dead folk. Actually, I was a lot more interested than I was letting on, but seeing you pout like that was a treat. I let out a chuckle as she pecked angrily away at the displays. I leaned over to get a better look at what she was up to. It was a digital interface, an encyclopedic search engine, remarkably modern stuff. So, what you looking up first?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Actually, I would. Budapest snickered.
Hold on, 1 second, and...
What a great giggle that was. Budapest candidly has a gremlin gaggle now.
Shut up!
I took a second for the display to refresh, and then there it was.
Budapest, Hungary, situated in Central Europe back on Old Earth. They said it was one of the most beautiful cities on the continent.
Huh.
Hmm?
Didn't take you for an actual child. Some of all human knowledge at your fingertips, and you look up your own name. Gnosticism, is it?
Stop bullying me.
I chuckled again. It was fun to get on her case about it. Shaking her head, she refocused her attention. Stop bullying!
Budapest was a union of 3 cities. 2 cities of Buda and...
Oh, Buddha! Because we're uncultured and don't know how to pronounce that.
And Oh Buda were on the hilly western side of the...
Danube?
Danube River, that sounds right. The city of Pest on the flat eastern side. They were connected via bridges and... Oh my!
What is it? I caught a look at what she was reacting to. It was a sprawling series of buildings with spires extending up and above the rest of the city. It was imposing and yet oddly regal and cultured at the same time. I squinted to read the caption beneath it. Budapest Parliament Building. Its grounds extend across 18,000 square meters. 40 kilos of gold?
They decorated the rooms with gold. I don't think you'd be able to find any left over, though.
Nah, guess not. Dang.
According to this, Budapest was remarkably artistic and cultured. Oh, look at this!
She brought up an image of another building, an opera house, the caption said. It already looked ancient by the time the photograph was taken. Odds were that it was nothing but dust in this day and age. I grimaced. Ain't that something? Oh, look at this.
What's that?
Says here that the namesakes come from Slavic words. Buda was for water and pest for oven? I glanced over at her. She didn't seem to get it either.
Water oven?
That's what it feels like learning the direct translation of like half of like kanji that we learned in my Japanese class. College directly translates to big learning. And sensei translates to, what was it? It's something really weird. It's like a head birth. That's what it like, directly translates. It translates to a head birth. Which is probably why so many like translations of like translations for like Spanish and like German and like languages that are more similar to English like never really like, they can sometimes be bad, but they're usually not like, they're usually pretty easy to translate. But the reason why like a lot of Asian languages always can get butchered is because when you just like directly translate them, it's always just complete nonsense. Like a head birth instead of teacher.
I think there's some ASL things that are like that too. Like, I think that's just the thing. Like every language, you'll be able to find at least one direct translation that's just like, what? Anyway.
I guess it would fit you perfectly, wouldn't it?
Huh? I beg your pardon? Are you saying I look like a water oven?
That's not what I'm saying. I mean, you know, water and fire. Like, there's a clarity to what you say and what you do. And you're this, like, and you've this, like, pure innocence about you, since, well, you know. But at the same time, you're also warm and passionate, and you get excited easily, as if there's a spark of something in your eyes. Like you've got both water and fire within you. Got a lot of faces, is what I'm saying. Sorry. I'm just rambling at this point. It was a stupid analogy, so...
No, it's alright. I didn't know you could be such a sweet talker.
Really? I felt like I just felt like being a little poetic. She'd really taken to that comparison. I'm not sure why exactly. She was programmed to have a blushing animation, but I wasn't opposed. It was nice to see from her, calming even. One.
Passenger, sir.
Yep, what is it?
I felt like, well, we were talking about my name, and...
She's acting awfully strange now, fidgeting with herself. After a brief and awkward moment, she chuckled a little too loudly, perhaps in a poorly veiled attempt to dissipate the tension.
Never mind about that. It's a frivolous thought. What I was wondering was if... Would you like me to read any interesting passages in the databanks? And make for good in-flight entertainment? And there's another responsibility of a good stewardess. At least in this case, it would,
She approached this proposal with such vigor, only to stumble near the end. I waved my hand. I knew this was less about me and more about letting her sate her own curiosity, so... I think I'd be up for that. Maybe less on the architecture, though. It's depressing to think everything in these photos is probably dust or in ruins now.
Ah, noted. Yes, your request is duly received.
And right then and there, Budapest and I had something of a contract. This was a way of getting through the day, and it wasn't necessarily a disagreeable one. What I wasn't counting on was how much sheer data she'd flipped through in a single day. She didn't stop at Hungary. We ended up taking a whirlwind tour through the rest of mainland Europe. Berlin, Bucharest, Vienna, Florence, Bruges, and the list went on and on. She was feverish,
Insatiable
in her search for knowledge. It was an information overload. Dang it, she looked enamored by a cookbook now.
Persian cuisine, Oh, maybe we can try making French crepes with the replicator, passenger, sir.
Yeah, I'm good.
Or Castilian...
just whatever. Really, it's...
Atlantic cod? I don't know how to say that one.
I'm going to shut my eyes for a bit. I'm a little tired, and well, you wanted me to get more sleep, didn't you? At least you won't be watching me sleep anymore now that you have something to do.
Roger that, sir. So sleep well.
Wholesome. And so I closed my eyes and rubbed against the fabric of the co-pilot's seat. Tried my hardest to get to sleep. It was all I could do to block out her excited chattering. I had no idea what I'd wake up to later, but hopefully it'd all clear up in the morning. Whenever that would come.
The time is now 1200 hours.
Ah, that time again, huh? If nothing else, Budapest was punctual. I had to undo my pretzel body from a heap of limbs rising slowly to the day. My hair was a mess, matted down in awkward places. I wrestled it back into a somewhat presentable shape. I'd rather have woken up to the morning sun than the sight of stars. It didn't feel natural to live and sleep like this, but small sacrifice to make in space travel. Suppose I've gotten used to it.
Good morning, passenger, sir.
Yep, lovely morning. I responded drearily to Budapest's sunny little greeting, readjusting my posture in the co-pilot seat.
If you need breakfast, our in-flight replicator will surely assist you.
Ah, the replicator. I'd always been wary about replicators. They sounded great on paper, being able to make any kind of food you'd needed at any time, but in execution they left something to be desired. I glanced around the control panel in front of me. Stored just beneath the enormous control deck, a smaller console attached to what looked like an ancient microwave oven kept to itself. Weird place to keep a replicator. I would suppose it was the human pilot's responsibility to provide for their own meals on a flight. I punched in some numbers. What was it? 2424? The machine hummed and then filled with a white light. I opened the door, and once the steam faded away, I saw a small paper cup standing in the center of the contraption. I took a look at the cup's contents. Looked like coffee. I took a sip and then gagged. Ah! I sighed. It was lukewarm, too. Budapest glanced at me with a frown.
Ah, you see, this make of transit shuttle doesn't exactly have the highest budget replicator.
Oh well, caffeine's caffeine, I suppose. I gulped down the foul, infernal black concoction and then crushed the cup in my hand. It seemed to give way too easily, almost as if tissue paper could crack. Well, that was a nice little jolt of energy. What are our plans for today? More aimless drifting through the endless vacuum of space, I'm guessing? I was up for some meandering through the empty void myself. Mix it up a little, keep it fresh.
Actually, I was studying the databases again while you were resting.
I see you're still infatuated with them. Now goes the hunt for knowledge.
Ah, you see, that's the thing. As soon as I see a document, I just go for it. Like here. See?
She briefly blotted up some information on... It looked like a drawing of a human girl. It seemed to be listed with all kinds of information. Interests, hobbies, classes. Before I could read into it too much, she swiped at the display elegantly. The girl disappeared.
I think I've had an easier time of getting through material, at least generally.
Well, it's all data and junk, right? You process that sort of stuff quickly, I'd assume.
It's different now. I mean, sure, I can read 500,000 words a minute at 100% comprehension, but I'm not really getting it like that, you know? I've tapped into some archives on fiction novels published in North America. I've been having a lot of fun reading these stories. Literature is really a new discovery for me. I've been so used to having instructions spelled out to me in precise terms, but these authors managed to communicate so much with so few words. I've had to sit back and think about what they really meant. Hey, did you know that they had book clubs for this sort of things? I wonder if they'd let me host one when we get back.
Admittedly, that was a cute little thought to picture, seeing her hunched over a book sitting in a circle with a bunch of other navigators. What, with the rest of the personal navigators? If they still have their limitation chips, then good luck. I mean, stories like that, they affect people differently. I guess that'd be part of the fun of getting people to sit down and talk about it. Guess it's all online now. Still, it's a fun thought, thinking of a bunch of strangers scattered across planets discussing the same one story.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun, I'm sure.
She nodded, that dreamy look drifting in her widened eyes. Pick out any favorites yet? Not exactly a bookworm myself, but...
Oh, I think I've got one in mind. I was really sucked into it. My Antonia by Willa Cather. I read it was considered a classic.
Never heard of it. A knee-jerk reaction unlike any other. I'm not exactly an archaeologist here.
It was written in the United States, the first one, on Old Oak.
The first one?
It's a fictional work, but it's rooted in the history of the sweeping American Midwest. As I understand, it was really rural, lots of farmland.
Ooh.
Lots of outdoors work that had to be done by hand in harsh sunlight. It was exhausting, stressful work, and when the sickness hit, it hit hard. It was dreadful.
No kidding. With everything being animated these days, everything's a lot more stress-free.
Yeah, I felt a little strange about that. And when they gathered as a family and, well, enjoyed supper, the fruits of their labors, it felt like it was doubly meaningful. It was a wonderful feeling. I wouldn't want to take that away from anyone.
She's surprisingly empathetic now, her emotive eyes drifting to the displays in front of her. Sounds like you got a lot out of this. You said it was fiction, yeah?
Historical fiction, yes. Actually, it takes on the form of a memoir from the perspective of a lawyer reflecting on his childhood. And also brought up his relationship with an immigrant girl living next door. His titular Antonia, you see.
Oh, it's one of those stories, huh? Suits you to be a dreamy little romantic. How'd they hook up? How'd they hook up?
What? No, it's nothing like that. There was no hooking up. Is this, like, good? Is this fine?
You know, there's no set definition on what that phrase means. Just move on. It's fine.
Actually, she ended up marrying somebody else. And I resent that remark. I'm plenty grounded in reality, thank you very much.
Getting a little worked up over a bunch of fictional characters, aren't you?
Well, I was a little sad they didn't get together in the end. But that's besides the point.
Surprised you got so hooked on them. If you probably read that whole book in less than 1 minute. I think that proves the point entirely. Well, that's a point in my favor. Seeing her get pouty like this is its only
So why did they do that?
Why does he like messing with her so much?
I know. This is like
why is like every time she gets mildly upset, he's just like,
that's a little weird, dude. Like the first times, it's like that's kind of funny. He's just like messing with her because he's like, haha, she's new to emotions.
But then like now it's just like, why does this is getting a little weird? So what do they do then? Do they just walk away from each other, never seeing each other again? Most sappy romances seem to end on that note.
That's the thing. The protagonist had come from a higher-up background, and he had the opportunity to study, to join a university and pursue a career in law. Antonia was a poor immigrant girl working on a farm. She was rooted in her working conditions, for the most part, so they ended up drifting apart in adulthood.
That's the way things are. I don't think I could make out the faces of the rest of the kids I went to secondary school with. The universe is too big to stay stuck in one place. If anything, nothing's changed in that regard.
Funny that you mentioned that. When I was reading, I felt like the world was changing too. And maybe it was the boy himself who was changing. In the first book, I'd gotten so enamored with how they described the beautiful landscapes and the sweeping fields, and then, when they moved into town, it was about business, economics, trade. It was as if the characters were defined by the work they did. and they were all very homesick.
I can relate. You can get some bum jobs in this economy, and reminding yourself that you want your job is about all you can do to get through the day.
Passenger sir, if I may, do you ever get homesick?
Who, me? The look Budapest gave me was complicated, filled with curiosity and at the same time concern.
To come all the way out here, it's hardly a residential sector, and, well, I can't say I've ever felt the feeling. As far as I've ever known this ship is, well, it's simply where I've always been. On the other hand, you've traveled a lot. Maybe you could explain the feeling?
I don't know if I could. It's like, I guess home is where you leave a part of yourself, and it's like, no matter how far you go, part of you is always going to be there waiting for you. It's where you grew up, yeah? And those memories, they don't ever go away, no matter how much you wanted them to. That's what I thought, but for whatever reason I couldn't say it out loud. It didn't seem especially pertinent. Budapest nodded in agreement, regardless.
It's funny. This ship's a part of me, you could say. I don't think I could ever leave it, but that's okay, I think. I have plenty of recordings. I know a lot of people were happy to fly with me. I can't forget their faces. Literally, they're stored in my quantum memory.
She let out a mirthful chuckle. I couldn't help but grin a little in response.
I don't know. This is kind of like my home, in a way. I've been here as long as I can remember, and I have a pretty good memory. I don't think I could leave it behind so easily. It's my directive, right, to be here.
Her voice was getting lower.
I guess I won't really understand that feeling myself. All this reading just got me to thinking about how different from others I really am. Humans, they get to drift from one place to another while I'm rooted here shackled in functions and code and processors. I guess all people have to move on eventually, but at least I managed to help them along their way, right?
So you really want to get out of here?
I'm not so sure, honestly.
She flashed me a small smile.
I like helping people, and I'm able to do that right here. There's so many photos, stories, memoirs in these databanks. Though at least I could witness the cherished memories and the stories of others. For me, I have plenty of records and recordings and logs, but no real memories to call my own.
She clutched her head, rubbing it thoughtfully.
I don't know, maybe I'm just overthinking things.
I don't know, it sounds to me like you want to get out there and live alone. Which would be understandably hard to get around in your current state. But I don't think it'd be impossible.
Huh?
I was joking around when I said it earlier, but if they ever ended up deeming you unfit for service once we're rescued, you can travel with me. It's not exactly glamorous, you see, the life I live. There's a lot of sitting and waiting around to get where you want to be. But at the end of the trail, there's incredible sights. Looking at an old photo is not the same at all. And you'd be making memories, your memories, and yours alone. I wasn't exactly sure where I was going with that. It sounded like a nice enough idea as I was saying it, but she was pretty attached to her position as a personal navigator. Budapest simply stared at me for a few silent, awkward moments, and for a second I wondered, maybe I'd said something incredibly, stupidly forward. This was just supposed to be a favor. Tense, I rubbed the back of my neck. If something like that sounds okay to you, I wouldn't mind.
It sounds like a wonderful idea.
Wait, really? Budapest was beaming with joy.
I never exactly got to, talk with people this much, but now, I guess I already have a few memories to call my own. If it's alright with you, I'll hold them close.
You don't really need to ask for permission for anything like that.
Sorry, force of habit, I suppose. I guess that book just got me thinking about how humans hold their past close to themselves. They never really forget, and it sticks with them for their whole lives. You're not gonna forget about our trip, right?
She turned to me with a teasing pang in her voice. I shuffled slightly. I have no idea how I could.
Hee.
I muttered, then chuckled. Admittedly, I was having two spending...
Whatever.
I was having two spending my time chatting with Budapest, drifting with her through space. Accompanying her on our voyage through the ocean of stars. I wonder how long I slept this time. That was the first thought that popped into my head as I pointed my eyelids to an expanse of stars that might as well have been the same ones I fell asleep
We should
counting.
probably, like, stop this now.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, that was this.
Great. If you guys liked this video, and want to be alerted every time we upload, you can click the notification bell, or you can follow us on Twitter or join our Discord. We put out a little notification every time we upload. We also have other social media down in the description below, or a Redbubble if you want to get some merch. And let us know if you like this, because, I mean, it's a lot different than what we normally do. There's a lot less screaming. But most importantly, join the Nerd Hood. It's a dysfunctional place, and that's pretty much it. Goodbye.
Bye!